Hey, welcome to Gloria Deo Academy, raising lifelong worshipers, lifelong learners, and lifelong servants. In this episode, we're going to be talking about our upcoming challenge of a screen-free spring break within our school community. We're going to talk about why would we do a screen-free spring break, how screens can be harmful to all of us, and then why offline time can be so incredibly good and healthy for us. And then we'll follow that up with some ideas and suggestions of how you could put this plan into action and move forward if you are up for the challenge. Now, we all know that screens can be harmful, especially too much screen time, but specifically how and why is that? Our school put together a list, and I'll link it for us in the episode notes, and you can go to that for further resources. It links to articles as well as a teaching session on excellence in education and why social media and screens are harmful to our kids. However, I'm going to list a few of those here. And the first one is that screens can interfere with the parent-child interactions. A lot of times, if we are on our phone and we may be in the room and we're available if they need something for us, but that's not the same as being completely 100% present. You know, when you're considering the parent who has a phone in their hand and is sure they can stop and answer a question for a child versus a parent who their phone may be completely set aside, put away on a counter, not anywhere on their person, and fully available and present to be with the child in the room. A lot happens in nonverbal communication as well, in emotional development and social development. Another way screens can be negative is that they disrupt sleep. And we have an article linked to this from the school as well, where screens disrupt sleep for a variety of reasons. One of them being the blue light, another one being the way it causes our brains to become actively engaged rather than slowing down and releasing the melatonin hormone to help us to fall asleep. And when we disrupt our sleep, when we're not in the right circadian rhythms, it actually affects our students the next day. When they're in class, it is much harder for their brains to process and store information the next day. So if they'd had good sleep, they might be able to remember what their teacher taught about in history. However, with a disrupted sleep, it's much harder to process what an educator is saying and store it in the right place. So we have screens can interfere with the parent-child interaction. They can interfere with disrupting sleep. They can also just outright change our brains and how our brains are wired. So there's an article also linked from Harvard Medical School that goes into this in detail. And one of the things specifically is the kind of addictiveness it creates in our brains as we are either on social media or on even video games, especially interactive video games, where it is remapping our brains, it's releasing different hormones, creating this almost addictive habit with our brains and the screens. Deborah Rutter, the author of the article from Harvard Medical School, she says a young person's brain lacks a fully developed self-control system to help with the stopping of this kind of obsessive behavior. And so you can probably see this in your teenagers. I can even see it in my 3-year-old occasionally. If he's had a little bit too much, Paw Patrol, then what happens is he lacks the ability to have self-control to when it's time to stop or when it's time to turn it off without throwing a huge fit, being irritable, angry, kind of unexplainably angry. And I see these reactions in my kids, and it's a big red flag to me as a parent. Okay, something's happening in my kids' brains. They're not responding the way they normally do or the way I feel like they typically would at their maturity level. So with knowing that screens can be harmful in these ways, whether it's social media, video games, and it is affecting their social well-being, their emotional and cognitive well-being, pediatrician Michael Rich says we have to be flexible enough to evolve with the technology, but choose how to use it right. Fire was a great discovery to cook our food, but we had to learn it could hurt and kill as well. So like fire, when it comes to using screens effectively and evolving with technology so that our kids can be successful out in a world of technology, we also need to learn how to use it right. And knowing that they don't have the fully developed self-control system to moderate it, then it really is up to us as parents to be those moderators for them, to set healthy boundaries and help them develop both in an online environment when appropriate for their age level and offline as well. So that's what this screen-free spring break is all about, is having some designated offline time. And the boundaries being, hey, all of spring break, we're going to have absolutely screen-free as much as possible. And we'll give some examples of that here in a little bit. But I want to talk about what can happen then when we do go offline and we have no screens, because there are a lot of good benefits that come of this. One of the first benefits is that screen-free time lets our minds rest, both for us and our kids and our students. We can be more at peace because by turning off the screens, it reduces stress and anxiety. Anxiety that we don't even realize we're creating until after we've already been on a screen for too long. It's compared to like opening a window in a stuffy room. Being screen-free allows us and our kids to discover new hobbies, develop creative skills, and improve problem-solving abilities. In addition to being not just screen-free, but there are incredible benefits to being outside as well. The organization 1,000 Hours Outside is a global movement highlighting the transformational impact of outdoor play. The founder of this organization, 1,000 Hours Outside, describes how being outside 1,000 hours a year is the goal, imparts invaluable insights into the benefits of nature-based play, underscoring its contribution to children's physical, emotional, and cognitive development. She emphasizes the importance of providing unstructured outdoor time for children, fostering resilience, creativity, risk-taking, and emotional and social skills. So now that we know we want to be screen-free for spring break, we want to be outdoors and outside as much as possible for us and our kids of all ages, what is the next step? What do we do next? The first thing would be to start by making a bucket list of options for both individual activities and family screen-free activities to do. Our school has provided some options for this and suggestions. I will link that in the episode notes as well, and it will take you to suggestions such as hiking at different parks in the local area, such as Enchanted Rock, Lost Maples. It could be painting for small children, some ideas that you can use with painter's tape. One of my favorite ideas on this list of recommendations is actually disposable cameras. To get your kids some disposable cameras, allow them to take pictures throughout the week, hopefully, right? Not use them all at one time, and then make a photo album at the end of the week. And I personally love this idea, and we will definitely be doing it in our house. So first off, start by making a bucket list of options that you can do as a family and individually throughout the week for screen-free time. The second is to go ahead and have an action plan ahead of time for the areas you know will be specifically the hardest to overcome. In our home, that will be the morning time. My kids have a habit of watching cartoons in the morning. It's just kind of they wake up early in our house. I mean, they might be up as early as 6:30, and so around 6:37, the cartoons are on, and that gives me time to get up and get ready for the day and get my coffee. So if I know, man, that's going to be the toughest thing for me to overcome for a screen-free spring break, then what is my plan going to be? Am I going to hide the TV remotes so that they can't turn it on before I'm awake, before I'm up and going? Am I going to make sure that I personally go to bed early so that I wake up on time and don't snooze my alarm too much? So I'm ready for the kids, ready for breakfast and to start the day. I'm just thinking through aloud here some of those things that I know are going to be challenging for me in my home. So if you have those areas that you know certain times of the day are going to be extra difficult to fully implement a screen-free time, go ahead and make an action plan for that. Think through what you can do ahead of time so that you are prepared and ready for that challenge. The last thing you can do is to join us in community in a screen-free spring break group meet. We'll set it up just for the week of spring break. And here, the intention is to find support, to encourage one another, and also to share ideas throughout the week of how we can swap ideas and help each other out to keep the screen-free spring break going all week long. If this is something you would like to be a part of, please email me at armor@gloriadeoacademy.net. That's armor, ARMOUR, at gloriadeoacademy.net, or feel free to just send me a message one-on-one. The last thing I want to leave you with is a quote from Charlotte Mason, and she says, On fine days when it is warm enough to sit out with wraps, why should not tea and breakfast and everything but a hot dinner be served out of doors? For we are an overwrought generation, running to nerves as a cabbage runs to seed, and every hour spent in the open is a clear gain, tending to the increase of brain power and bodily vigor, and to the lengthening of life itself. Charlotte Mason says, never be within doors when you can rightly be without. All right, GDA, that's all I have for today. I hope that you will join us in taking the challenge for a screen-free spring break. In the meantime, keep pursuing truth, goodness, and beauty. Thanks, y'all.